How did you kind of get started with the idea? So I know there's a lot of food content creators, but you kind of went a little bit more niche and kind of really narrowed in on kind of like drinks and food preparation for entertainment. How come you went down that path? Where did you come up with that idea?
Yeah. So I remember the day that the idea was thrown at me, and the time I decided that's the direction I was going to go in. And it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Right before I had my first child. I was a middle school math teacher for 5 years at the time, and I was very bored. I was happy, I was complacent, comfortable, but bored. And, math is math. It's black and white. It's not creative. And I'm super creative. So I was, at the point where I was like, I need something like a creative outlet, something to kind of keep me, on my toes. And I always loved food, entertaining. So it was the night of a couples game night I had thrown at my house with about 10 couples. And I had the whole setup and everyone had so much fun. We unfortunately haven't had one since, which I'm very upset about. But one of my friends had said, Aleka, you need to start a blog. This is amazing. And I said, okay, what the heck is a blog? I have no idea. I don't follow blogs. I feel like blogs are so 2005. They weren't, nobody here. If you don't, nowadays, I feel like they're much more common. But, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, it's like nobody really heard that. So I was like, okay, this is something I guess I can look into. I'm at the point in my life where a teaching income was not really cutting it for me. I'm a go-getter. I'm somebody who doesn't like being capped out at salary-wise. And I want to make more money and really find something that I love doing. And I remember listening to a podcast like a couple weeks later, and somebody saying, find your passion, find what you love, and find a way to make money off it. If you love it and you're good enough at it, you're going to find a way. And I said, that's completely true. So I was like, I'm going to look into the blog thing. And I did. And I found all these resources and realized that you could make not only an income, but a good income off of a blog. And I found out that food bloggers are the top paying income regarding ad revenue and RPMs, which is great. And there's other ways to sources of revenue that you can also kind of capitalize on. And from that moment, I was like, this is going to
hooked
me what I'm going to make. Yeah, I'm going to make this my full-time job someday. And people say it starts and it was my side hustle, but it wasn't a hobby. I was determined to make it my full-time job. And I'm not going to stop until it happens. And I told my husband, don't get in my way.
Hold back the opinions. And I saw a great screenshot of your growth. And it kind of looks like it was year 3 when it all really started working. Did you kind of gradually work your way into it? Did you just cut off and quit teaching and then go straight into blogging? What was your kind of roadmap to getting there? And was year 3 kind of when it started kind of taking off?
Yep. So I started in 2017. I did a couple months of research and listening to podcasts and reading articles and all of that. And, I was so excited to get started. I just started as quickly as I could with how the knowledge that I already had under my belt. And then first year was like trial and error. Let's figure out what you don't know. Let's kind of play around with things. And the next year I was like, okay, people are not finding my recipes. My stuff isn't as good as I thought maybe. So I kind of took a different turn and said, okay, let me look into SEO and really figure out why I'm not getting the right traffic, because social media was not happening. And even if it is, traffic there is very limited unless you put 100% of your effort and time. And I knew that Google traffic, so search engine organic traffic, was the one thing I really wanted to kind of target. And I was like, keyword research is the one thing that smaller bloggers really have control over and can kind of put things in your favor in the SEO world. So I really took that I went straight down the keyword research lane, and I said, I'm going to learn every single thing I can about keyword research and SEO and anything on page optimization as I can, because there's such a wealth of knowledge out there for free. And I realized that, okay, this is working, because a couple months after applying some strategies, I started to see a little bit of growth. And then within 4 or 5 months, my traffic was able to get me to ad level revenue. So I applied to AdThrive, Mediavine at the time, and started making money. And I was like, I told you I could make money up to all my friends. I told you could make money off it. So at that point, I was super motivated and kept doing what I was doing, and just seeing more and more growth from there. So yeah, about 3 years in, I was still teaching the whole time. So I would work my lunch break secretly, and then I would come home, and then I would work a little bit more after dinner, then I would work on the weekends, and it was a lot of extra time spent and some arguments, but it was worth it. So yeah, I taught for another 5 years until I was finally able to resign.
That's amazing, and that's really cool, because I feel like a lot of people skip over the SEO/keyword because it seems very technical, but I feel like it's probably down your lane if you're coming from a mathematical background, because it is very methodical how SEO kind of works.